Och då ska jag hälsa Don Geijer välkommen från Free Gate. Så du får en varm applåd.
Thank you. So my name's Don. As you can tell, I'm going to do the presentation in English, not Swedish. So I'm going to start out by telling you a short bit about Three Gates, how we got started, a little who we are, and then I'm going to really focus on our strategy and the products we have coming out, because that's what's exciting about the company. So we were founded in 2011. It was a group of people that had worked on projects and worked in the Uppsala game education based on Gotland. So we started out by working on a lot of projects that we had done similar stuff for before. We were a staff that was brought together that was basically focused on working in the industry, not an academic staff. So our first projects were large simulation projects for Jiangsu province in China, big 3D modelings for construction companies in China, and then we did a few video games, work for hire, most notably a game that we did ourselves, an RPG called Legends of Aetherius. And then we did a ton of work for hire for, say, the first from 2011 to 2013. At that point, we decided, we took on more business consultants, and we decided, okay, how do we want to make a viable strategy, we want to have a business for the future. Mobile was becoming a much bigger sector, and so we sort of changed our strategy. During this time, we did a lot of work for hire and tried to create partners, which is a big part of our strategy. We did the small things for Svenska Spel, we did tech demos for other companies coming up in Sweden, like Simple Gone, and did a lot of work for different other game companies. Real quick about who we are. We have our board here. We have Victor, who's our chairman. Basically a legal background and an investor, mostly in oil and other international products. So he's basically an international guy. We have Rune Laderup, who's well known in a lot of game companies that have gone public here in Sweden. Founder of Maria Bingo, for example, when they exited. We have Joachim Dahl, works very close with Rolf Lundström, part of AHA. Was part of Sweden Bingo Lotto, so a lot of contacts, especially in Gothenburg. We have Håkan Mattsson, basically an academic, but he's our contact to a lot of the students we have, so we do a lot of work recruiting interns and working with students. Sean Koppinen, who's basically our most experienced game guy. He's released over 450 titles. Worked for just about everybody big or with everybody big, Sony Online, Ubisoft, just a ton of contacts in the game industry, and myself. We have our management team. Basically what I've been doing most the last 20 years is working in the game industry, speaking at a lot of conferences, working with companies at a lot of projects. We have Marcus Gazelius, in my mind one of the best TAs, as we say, technical artists in Sweden. Started one of the first mocap studios here in Sweden, Interactive Institute, through his own outsourcing graphics company, worked on a lot of AAA games, won a Silver Griffin Award for his animation short, Schack, and then we have Tommy Lippinen, who's basically he was head of the game department at Uppsala, and really good at databases and doing servers and background computing. So we basically, after we came up with and talked with consultants, we're like, how can we do this? We wanted to make games. We want to have a big hit because it's a hit-driven industry, but we didn't want to put all our eggs in one basket. So we sort of came up with a diversified strategy. So we have it basically three legs. We have what we call entertainment games, and that's your typical game that you think of, Angry Birds, Candy Crush, or Battlefield, Minecraft. And then we wanted to get into real gambling as well. It's a much more stable and easier monetization model. And then we have a third leg, which we call like social casinos or contest-based. And these are games that sort of are floating in and out of real gambling. Social casinos work by virtual currency, and then there's a lot of games that are popular now where people can enter and win money in a contest, but it's not real gambling. So they're playing. If they play enough, they may win a vacation somewhere. So the real goal in the game industry is to create your own IP, to make your Angry Birds or to make your big hit that you own. So that's That's always the big goal, but it's also pretty risky and it's hard to do. There's a lot of competition. So, we wanted to always try whenever we could to create our own IP. We want to do work for hire when necessary, mostly if it's with partners. So if there is a company that we really like or strongly we want to work with in the future, then we'll do work for hire. And work for hire just means that, they say, make this game and you make it for them. You don't get any royalties, you don't share in the profits, you're just basically doing a job for money. And then we had another strategy, and that was we wanted to try and, when we're creating these IPs or creating these brands, we want to start with mobile, which is a lot cheaper to develop, test the idea. If it gets traction, move on to PC, console, expand it. And this is all about sort of diversifying the risk. So the other thing we wanted to do, been in this industry a long time. We've seen a lot of good companies, and when they usually go down, they go down because they have one game and the publisher pulls that game or that game doesn't work, and then it's gone in one shot. So we wanted to make sure we had multiple revenue streams coming in, or we wanted to work that way. And then we wanted to have what we call revenue that's based not on development. So if we develop a game now, we want to have revenue coming in that we don't have to do more work for. So a revenue stream that has a long tail, so we can try and create revenue over a few years. So this is our short bit on why gambling. Well, gambling is super profitable. It's very impacted here, but we had some contacts in the US. So this is just a figure to show gambling is bigger than all the other industries combined in the US. Movie tickets, music, video games, all publishing, that's books, magazines, everything. Gambling makes more money than all those industries combined. The difference about the US and here is that it's still very, very behind. So whereas 30% of people gambling in Europe or Asia are doing it on a mobile device, in the US it's only 1% of the people are doing it. The reason for that is the regulations, and there's a lot of friction from Vegas and other places, so no one's really got it together yet and got licenses to work. So what we did is we found a company that's doing this. So we partnered up with this company called B-Spot. So how B-Spot works is it's real. You play a game that's like a Candy Crush or maybe a slight gambling game like Dice, but in the background it's running a horse race. So they're putting the money on a horse race in the background to find out if you won. So they've got 30 of the states, around 30, I think it's 31 or 32 now that they have licenses. So state by state, they're getting licenses. And they're looking, they're sort of live now, but they're looking to ramp up and launch 2017. They're going to try and get a lot of users. But they have New York, they have California, they have most of the big stuff. There was a lot of concern about their licenses, but the recent, I don't know if you know, but FanDuel and some of the, and a lot of court cases have been won now, so this gambling is pretty safe bet there. So what we did is we signed a contract with them, and it's basically a royalty. We make games. They have about 17 games in their library right now. We're looking to be, hopefully between 5 and 10% of their library when they really get traction and launch. And it's, basically we get a percent of people that we bring in, and then every time people spend money in our game, we get a percent of that money. So to show you the kind of games, they're kind of quick, simple games. So, our idea is to try and shoot out 4 of these in the next year and a half. We have 2 coming out first quarter this year. I'll show you a quick video of this. So this is a game we just started in production about a month and a half ago. And, basically you're playing, it's called Cash Cow. You pick a lane. The people go in through the B-Spots interface. And you basically make it or you don't. So it's really like a slot machine type of mechanic. There's a few things you can control, and there's some mini games at the end, and you pick stuff. So how it actually functions is, they bet money, and we send B-Spots sort of main center how much they bet. They send us a call back. And then at the end of the level, we tell them if they won money or not. So, and the other game we're making for them right now, we started this as well about 2 months ago, so we've been working pretty quick on these. This is called Dragon Boat Racing. It's fairly simple as well. There's four dragon boats, and you bet on one. So part of our model is to make these quick games, test them out, hope we can get a hit. So that's it. So, you know, once again, really quick, really simple. It's very repetitive, and it's timed basically like a shot, the same distance as a slot machine per roll. All right, I'll have to zip through this. I'm taking a little while. So now we have the other part of our main entertainment business is you know, we're really focused on partnering in brands with international people. So we're working with what's called the Pro Bull Riders. We didn't know how big they were until we started working with them. On TV every Sunday, 30 million people watch. They have a huge event. They're fast and growing. They're more followers on social media than NASCAR or PGA Golf. So they're really getting a lot of traction. We're also working with a football player called Jared Allen who invested in our fishing game quite early. And he's sort of a front man for the PBR. He owns bowls and he's doing their commercials for them, that kind of thing. And then one of our main investors that's coming in for both the bull riding and the fishing product I'll show you is a guy named Jerry Swabeck. He owns Rarity Investments with a few other things. Very well known billionaire in the US, sits on a bunch of boards like Pepsi, Disney, but most of all he's a really nice, personable guy that helps with a lot of business information, and he has tons of contacts in sports. He used to own the Vikings and has a lot of friends within NHL football. So he's really good at helping us, you know, get in contact with the people we want to meet. And last but not least, IMG. So when we started working with the Pro Bull Riders, IMG bought them, and they have their licensing company that has literally thousands of licenses, everything from perfume to sports to all kinds of things. So we're working pretty closely with them on the Pro Bull riding game, and you know, obviously we're looking to try and get some more brands from them in the future. Sort of zip through this. So this is our fishing game that will be coming out after the bull riding game that we just released. So this is our own product. We basically took it to Rarity Investments, and you know, now we're working with IMG to try. So we're looking to find a good partner for this. You know, the goal will be, it'll be a soft launch at the end of this year, and then we'll be ramping it up slowly. And you know, hopefully if everything goes as well, it'll be mobile, then it'll be PC, and then it'll be console. So that's the plan for that. What's unique about it is, I'll just show a quick bit of it here. So what makes our game unique is that we have moving water. So it's really appealing to this stream fishing crowd. We're looking for, well, there's a few big brands that we're talking to in the US right now. We don't have anything settled. So, you know, what we're always trying to do is make games that are a little bit different or a little bit unique and hopefully, you know, much better in quality than most of the other fishing games out. So there's really no fishing games out that have moving water and this kind of system. All right, I'll charge forward here as I'm taking a little too much time. So the last product we're working on right now that's, you know, it's been released, it's a mobile game. And, you know, what we're really looking to do now is spin it out across other platforms. And I'll just show you the trailer for that. So that's a game we released. The championships just went down. So this is a game we're slowly ramping up in mobile, and you know, doing a lot of discussions right now with IMG to see if we can, you know, keep it going. We'll redo it for 2017, and then we'll, you know, hopefully, like I said, split it out in other platforms so we can work something out. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
One applause. You need to explain to me a little bit more carefully.
Yeah.
If I play the games,
yeah,
can I add skills or is it pure random? like the fishing?
Well,
do I try
the
to
fishing
control
game, well, the
fishing
fishing game is just an entertainment game, so there's actually
Okay.
a lot of skill. So the main skill part of the fishing game is where you throw the hook. So the fish are out there, and you're just trying to cast the hook in the right place.
So
And there's
that's not a betting game?
that's not a betting game. It's
Okay.
a pure entertainment game.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But the other ones were betting games?
They're betting games, and there's basically no skill involved.
No, it's random.
It's random.
Yeah.
I mean, what we do is we give them virtual goodies, which, you know, when they don't win.
Okay.
But there's really nothing they can do to affect the outcome of the bet.
But they, so to speak,
Yeah.
win real money, real
They-
US dollars?
Yes.
Okay.
So they, like I said, if they bet $2, we send a call back. The B spot system runs that on a horse race. You know, through, or you know, it has a system that's okayed by the gambling setup. They send us back if they won or lost, and then we just let them know in the game if they won or lost.
Okay.
And then they put that money goes straight from our game into this B spot account.
Okay. But the number of players, will that impact your revenue?
Oh, it'll massively impact the revenue. So
Okay.
the reason we're doing the gambling games is they monetize a lot better than normal games. You know, so those users are worth 50 to 100 times as much as a normal, mobile game user. So how many players they get is yet to be decided. I mean, we're gambling that to be funny about it, but we're gambling that they're going to do well, and that's just because they don't have very much competition right now in the U.S. And we think that people like to gamble. So,
Okay, but you sell all your systems through this B spot. You're a supplier to B spot.
exactly.
Okay. So they get the revenue from the player and they redistribute a part of it to you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why the US? I mean, I can understand, as always, it's a huge market and so
Yeah.
on. But to me, US is extremely guarded in this sense. You cannot bet on you cannot bet on sports, for example.
No, it's
in
very
the US.
difficult. It's
Yeah.
very difficult, and it's because of the state restrictions, so you really can't. And there's a lot of other things. But I mean, I think at some point it's going to break through, like with FanDuel, and DraftKings have done with this fantasy gambling. They're slowly sort of breaking down this wall, and
Okay.
we're just
But
hoping.
it is a wall still.
It is a wall, and I mean, and that's another reason, for B-Spot to get where they were before to now, it's taken them about 3 years.
Okay.
So, we're hoping that they'll be one of the few people out there for quite a while that actually can offer, across state lines that you can gamble on your phone.
So in the future, this connection to B-Spot is
Yeah.
your major source of income. The
Well, it's-
consultancy business, you will not.
Well,
any
I think
longer-
I think actually it's probably 1/3 to half our income at most. So I mean, we'll probably, the bull riding game and the fishing game we're also looking at as quite substantial income revenue streams. If we can.
But that's your own, or is that distributed through
Well,
B-Spot
I mean,
too?
No, that's not. That
No.
has nothing to do with B-Spot,
Okay.
but that's distributed with the Pro Bowl riders. So they're helping us in marketing. So when you go to the events, in the program, they have information about the game. So we're trying to work on royalty deals, and the fishing game is also paired with that. So, the best way in mobile or the cheapest way to get new users is through your own games.
Okay.
So the idea is we'll keep trying to build out that portfolio, and try and get the people who play the bull riding game to play the fishing game.
For the last 6 months, you had a net turnover of roughly 900,000 Swedish kronor, or almost a million.
Yeah, a little bit
Is
more.
that,
But
a little bit more than a
Yeah.
million. Is that pure consultancy, or is it an income stream from this future games?
Exactly. Yeah. So that is just money that we got paid from Rarity and from the Pro Bowl riders.
Okay.
So basically, an example, it's a couple different ways it works. For the bull game, they said, "Here, can you make this game for us?" Okay. In the fishing game, we went to them and said, "Look, you can buy in for 50% of the mobile rights if you give us this much money."
Okay.
And
So
then we
it's an
split the royalties.
upfront payment. kind of.
Exactly. So they're sort of paying, and then we split the royalties. They take the marketing side, we make the game.
Okay. Don, thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. And now you will go to the other part of the room and be interviewed. And om ni vill ställa frågor till Don så gör ni det på ngmlive@laika.se.
står här med 3 Gates VD Don Geier. Vi kommer ta det här på engelska, därav mina första snubblande ord. Welcome to the after interview. 3 Gates is developing games for mobile platforms. What kind of games do you do?
Well, we're working on a lot of different things right now. So I mean, we're working on some real gambling games for a company called B-Spot. And then we're working on, what you would call pure entertainment games, just, games that people play for fun. And the main 2 things we're working on now is a fishing game and then this Pro Bowl Riders game. Yeah.
Okay. And before you listed on the stock exchange earlier this summer, you said in an article that 3 Gates needs to go to the stock exchange to go public to get to the next level. It's been a couple of months. Was it a wise decision?
Yeah, I think it was a wise decision. I mean, games, you don't develop in 2 months. But I mean, we've got a lot more partners and we're talking to people all the time. So there's a lot of opportunity that's already come our way. So we're working really hard at that. And, basically the capital lets us beef up the staff and lets us take, invest more in our own projects. So instead of just doing work for hire, taking a small bit of the royalties, we can take a bigger share of the royalties. So if things go good, it can go really good.
Right, because also on the same kind of theme before the IPO, you said you had to turn down some affairs or some business because of your size, and to go public was in line with being able to accept those kind of businesses or affairs. What kind of businesses was it? What did you have to turn down?
At that time, I can't say too much, but it was a movie title. It was a game for a movie title, and they had to move quick. And we had a game that was very close, so they wanted to reskin the game after quite well-known movie title, and we just didn't have enough cash to do it and the staff to do it. In the time allotted, they were like, we have to do it now. And these kind of things come up a lot in gaming. I mean, sometimes you just don't know what you're going to make in 2 years because a really good opportunity lands in your lap.
And would you be able to accept that now when you have gone public? All right.
Yeah. So now we could. Yeah. Now we could definitely take opportunities like that. And a lot of things come our way right now. So the last few things have got some attention. So we're expecting something good to happen all the time. But I guess that's how you always are at a studio. So
I guess so. Before this invitation or this day in the invitation, it said that you are bringing in more capital to accelerate your business. Wasn't the money from the listening process enough, or what do you need the extra cash for?
Well, I mean, right now we have, in general, more projects than we can do. So it's what we're doing is obviously balancing which projects we should work on and how fast we can get them done. The faster you can get them done, the quicker they can start bringing in revenue. So it sort of, in that sense, accelerates what you can do, and it allows you to take on a new project or maybe fund it more yourself without going to a partner, so you can take more of the profits. So I think that I mean, we have a long longevity, and we're doing some projects so that we get sort of income right away. So we don't want to just fry through everything. That's for sure. We want to have a nice balance. But at the same time, we want to be able to make sure we have some projects that, if they go big, that we can go big and scale up quick.
Okay. You do have your business model. How do they look like for these games?
Well, for the gambling games, it's completely different than for the other game. For the entertainment games. For the gambling games, they're quite small, short development periods, and they really don't require maintenance. So once we stick them into the B-Spot system, we'll see how they do, and maybe some small tweaks, and that'll be it. And they're quick, and our plan is to do quite a few of them so that we find the ones that hit. Whereas with, for example, the fishing game or the bull riding game, our plan is to make the mobile game first. It requires a lot of maintenance. We're scanning the riders, we're going to events. So you're really maintaining that game and updating it all the time. And obviously we want to take it across other platforms. We want to get it on console. So those games require tons of maintenance. And, for the mobile things, working with people like PBR, you really, you start out and you just sort of ramp up slowly. So it's like a year-long, 2-year-long process to build up your customer base. And during that time, you're finding out which things monetize. So we do card packs, for example, in the bull riding game. And, so we come out with a new card pack, it does quite well, and people buy something for $10. So you're constantly sort of tuning and doing analytics. So it's quite a different kind of model. It's sort of like a living game as opposed to the gambling games, which is sort of like you just make it and hand it off, and that's basically it.
So you're not only focusing on the mobile platforms, you in the long run, you want to go to the other ones as well.
Exactly. I mean, all these brands that we do in our entertainment sector, if they get traction, we want to take them across everything. So we're hoping to make a good brand, a good, IP, and then, move it across to PC and console.
All right, and you mentioned PBR. You have some very close cooperations with American sport organizations, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me about those.
So yeah, the PBRs are Pro Bowl riders. I mean, I just literally got back like 3 days ago. So they had their big thing in Las Vegas for the championship. So we're making that game. They're owned by IMG, who has a ton of licenses for other products. So hopefully, the game's got really good ratings, and they seem happy with us so far. So we're just trying to build that relationship and hopefully do more brands for them across the different licenses they have. Is
it common to have those kind of close cooperations?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite common. There's not that many open, so they're hard to get. In the case of the PBR, we liked it because, when we first started doing pro bull riding, we really didn't know how popular it was, but they're really on an upswing, so they have a lot of followers, and it's one of those things moving up fast. So we thought, wow, this is good timing. We can get in there and hopefully ride that wave. With IMG, they have everything from perfume to sports games to contests. So we're looking to try and work with them some more and figure out something. I mean, it's really hard to make a mobile game without a partner. Unless you have a bunch of users or a ton of money to market it. But things like Pro Bull Riders or NASCAR or PGA, I mean, there's already fans. So you're just basically tapping into their fan base. So we're not really spending a lot of money on marketing, but the game is present at the events. It's present. They have 30 million viewers on every TV show they do. So it's just sort of a ramp up and building through like organic growth for their fans.
Right, and sorry for our viewers, could I ask you just to hold the microphone a little bit closer? No worries, just so everybody can hear you all right.
Yep.
What are the market potentials for your specific games?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously we think it's quite big. For the fishing product, there's several fishing games doing over 100,000 a week. We think we're very competitive with all the other best products. I mean, with a mobile product like that, it's a common sport. It's a lot of people playing those games, and you put it out, then you get traction, and then you get it in China, you get it in Japan. You have to get in all the regions, you have to translate it. So it's a slow process. It's not like releasing a console game where you put it out and you make all your money that month. It's it's a ramp up. It's a slow process, but I mean, we think those games have tons of potential. I mean, we definitely think that we could, be what the other top 5 fishing games are doing. It's 100,000, 200,000 US a week.
All right, and the final question, just looking at the nearest future, where are you going? What are you doing?
Right. So I mean, right now we're in negotiations with a lot of people to see what we'll do next. But I mean, we're working on the fishing game, Fast and Furious, and we're maintaining the bull riding game. And we have 2 gambling games going up on B-Spot, in the first quarter 2017. So we have 4 things we're already, working on like crazy. So we'll just, we'll have to see how those do. But come January, we'll have a much better idea of exactly where we're at and what projects we're going to do.
All right, so we're going to look out for January then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Det var alltså intervjun med vdn för 3Gates, Dan Geyer, och vi tackar för oss än så länge.